Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. I'm here today with my November 2023 wrap-up. I read 11 books in November as against the countless number that I had added to my TBR. I'm incorrigible, what can I say? Anyway, I read 11 books, but I will be talking about only 10 of those books in this video because one of those was for a vlog that I wanted to put up last month, but I couldn't because I was waiting for a few books from the library, but that is happening right now. I'm hopeful that I will put it up this month because a couple of books have just become available. I have it here, one of those, but I won't be showing it to you because I'm very excited for that vlog and I want you to see that vlog. Oh my god. Basically, I'll be talking about 10 books in this video. One of them is a children's story, a short story, or a very classic story in fact. So without any further ado, let's dive right into this video and let me share with you 10 of the 11 books that I read in November 2023. The first book was the book that I wanted to put up for that vlog, so we are skipping to the next. Number 2 is the second in the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan, but I'll be clubbing them with 2 other books because they are number 2, 3 and 4 in this same series. The Son of Neptune is the second book in the Heroes of Olympus series. The Mark of Athena is the third book, and The House of Hades is the fourth book, which I finished reading in November. This series is about 7 demigods coming together from the Greek and Roman camps in order to save the world because the Earth Mother Gaia is rising and her allies, who are the giants, the titans, all of them are breaking out of Hades because the doors of death have been opened and it's complete chaos. So while in the first book, The Lost Hero, we see Jason Grace, Piper McLean and Leo Valdez coming into the story. They are introduced. Jason Grace is a Roman demigod whose memory has been completely wiped and all of that. They go on a quest, etc, etc. Towards the end of that book, Jason recollects what is happening. In this book, we follow Percy Jackson, whose memory has also been wiped, but he finds his way to the Roman camp. He is introduced to Frank Zhang and Hazel Levesque. So these 3 go on a separate quest. Now, all of these 7 demigods, obviously, Jason, Piper, Leo, Percy, Frank, Hazel and Annabeth have to come together to go on this major quest to save the world. Basically, how I'm telling it is very raw and very half done, but since this is a series, I don't want to give anything away. I just want to give you a gist of it. But this is a series or universe that no matter how old I am, I will return to it with that much excitement, the same excitement, n number of times, because it is so adrenaline packed. It will just give you that feeling. You see gods and there's kids fighting back to back because this whole universe has been set upon that premise, and to see that is just chill inducing. So basically, I love this series. I even finished the 5th book, which I will talk about in my December wrap-up. That was my first read of December and I feel the exact same way. This whole series, this whole universe has my whole heart. Next was Minor Detail by Adania Shibli. This is a Palestinian author who talks about the atrocities being committed over there in a fictional novel format, but seeing what's happening every day, this is not too far-fetched. This is a story told in 2 timelines. The first one is in 1949 when, after the Nakba, Israeli soldiers are scouting the desert, I think, and they find an Arab woman and she is killed over there. 25 years later, and there's this Palestinian woman who was born on the day that that woman was murdered, and she wants to find out the truth, and through the hoops that she has to jump in order to go to that place and find out what exactly happened, we see the restrictions that are put in place, everything that she has to do just in order to get some fresh air, in order to make sure that she isn't shot on sight. But what happens when everything sort of comes full circle? This is a short book, but its shortness does not mean that it is not effective. It shows the atrocities that are being committed, to see how things have not changed very much given the situation going on over here and given how the ceasefire is still not being called for. It's just so heartbreaking. This is one book that you should definitely read. It's like heartbreaking, chilling. It's a depiction of what's going on, innocent civilians being murdered, and just cleansing in general. Anyway, oh my god, my heart. Next was Fatty Fatty Boom Boom by Rabia Chaudhry. Rabia Chaudhry is a Pakistani American attorney and activist, social activist. She came into the limelight when she fought for justice for Adnan Syed. Adnan Syed was convicted for the murder of, I think it was Haimin Lee, and he did not do it, and she took on the cause and everything. She co-hosts a podcast called Serial, and this is her memoir, and in this she talks about her body image, the issues she had with her body, growing up, her relationship with food, what the people around her told her and made her believe, and how she dealt with all of it. Her relationship with food and her body, how it has evolved and changed over time. There are so many food items that are mentioned in here, right from the beginning to the very end. There are a bunch of recipes also that I was like, I felt suddenly homesick for home food. And even though like more than half of these I won't eat because I'm vegetarian, it reminded me of home. The gripe that I have with the book is that she talks about how she made peace with her body and how she made peace with food, etc, 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 but there is no build up to it. I mean, I can't tell someone how to write their memoir, but there's no build up to that point. That was probably the selling point of this book. I think almost 75 to 80% was her just listing out what she ate, what she did, etc, etc. Only in the last 10 to 15% do we see her emotions. I want to know what she felt, and that became visible only towards the end. But overall, I feel like this could have been polished a little better, although I don't think it's bad. I just think that it just needs a little bit more of structure and a little bit more of uniformity throughout it all. Next was A River in Darkness, One Man's Escape from North Korea by Masaji Ishikawa. This is Masaji Ishikawa's memoir in which he talks about moving to North Korea from Japan and then his eventual escape from the country in 1996. When he was about 13, he and his family, his father was Korean and his mother was Japanese, they moved to North Korea after these whole promises of paradise on earth, and in the hope that they would have a better life there. But once they reached there, they realized that the truth was something else, because of all those claims of paradise and quality of life and all of that, they were not true. How he survived those years, how his family survived those years, and how they dealt with this whole situation, be it the xenophobia, be it the poverty, be it how other people treated them, be it the citizens of the country treating them differently because they were from Japan. You see the situation, you hear things about North Korea that the quality of life is like this, but when you see an insider's perspective, it's just like, how can a government, that's a dictatorship, not a government, but how can they treat people like this? How is it that 36 years and so much hard work later, they are still in the same situation, starving, with absolutely no concern from anybody else, from the authorities, from the people around them, nothing. And in 1996, they were like, I've just had enough, this life is, I don't know what it's doing to me. And Masaji Ishikawa, he escaped to China and then to Japan for a better life, and in the hope that he would manage to bring his family this side as well. By that time, he had gotten married, he had 3 children, and he wanted to bring them to this side. I just felt so much anger on their behalf towards everyone who treated them like crap, and towards North Korea as a whole, because that country is like, it's out of my understanding. I mean, any country for that matter, given the current situation, but you get my point. If you like reading memoirs and if you like to learn about different countries and how they work from an insider's perspective, then this is one that you should definitely read. Next is a short story that I was telling you about. This is called The Ugly Duckling by Hans Christian Andersen, and this is a very well loved children's story. And in this we see a duckling that is newly hatched, but he is heckled and called names and shooed away by what is supposed to be his family of brothers and sisters and his mother as well. And he leaves and he goes from place to place, and he endures the most strongest of words against him, but then he blooms into this whole swan kind of thing. It's not a spoiler, like it's a well-known story. So I read this recently and I was like, this is simple, sweet and nice, but my only concern is that this perpetuates the notion that you have to be beautiful for you to see value. Even if you're saying that have patience, you will bloom, etc, etc, etc. I just feel like using beauty as a metaphor is sort of defeats the purpose. I know it's metaphorical and I get the whole concept, but that's just what I think. I totally understand what the story is trying to do and I find it really good, but just that small itch is there, no? Then the copy that I had, I learned more about Hans Christian Andersen's life than I learned in this story. If a book is like 100%, 20% was the story, 80% was Hans Christian Andersen's life. Next was Homeless, Growing Up Lesbian and Dyslexic in India by K. Vaishali, and this is K. Vaishali's memoir about growing up lesbian and dyslexic in India. And she talks about the situation in India, about how society treats lesbians and dyslexic people, and it's very eye-opening to see. She talks about how she was treated by her own family. The whole situation in her family wasn't that great to begin with, but there were so many expectations on her shoulders, and how they reacted when she told them that she was lesbian and dyslexic, and how it has affected her career, how it has affected what she does, and her love life, her relationships, what she wants, what she hopes for. We see all of that in this book, and it is very clinically written, matter of fact, but you can see the hurt that's emerging from its pages. Please read it, spread the word, and try not to be like the people who made Vaishali feel this way. Next was Recipes for Sad Women by Hector Abad, and this is a collection of not the traditional recipes that you see, but of the different kind of recipes, what you can do when you're sad, what kind of concoctions to use. Some of these are really out of this world in the sense that they are absurd, but some of the others, they are just like, yes, this is exactly what I needed. Some of them are like, they tell women that this is what you should do. There was one place where the author was like, if a woman has to resort to plastic surgery, if a woman has to do change her face cosmetically, then she is a failure. But then again, in another page, he was like, if a man does this, please be considerate towards him, because this is what he's feeling. So that sort of dichotomy, that it was sort of hypocritical, it felt like, and that is something that I did not like. But there are some that are so brilliant. I'll read out one to you, in which he's talking about routine. Routine is not what makes life unbearable. It is rather the opposite. So many actions in life are so unbearable that if you don't turn them into routines, they would make life unbearable. Don't make what excites you, what interests you, routine. What doesn't matter but has to be done should be routine, so it doesn't weigh you down. There are glimpses like this that make me feel like this book is a classic, but then there are those other double standards, it feels like to me. It just felt like an old world book about what a woman should be and what a man should be. That didn't sit well with me. But overall, I feel like this is a book that you can just randomly open to any page and read and glean the goodness from it, and just put the others at a distance. I'll still go back and read this. I have annotated and scribbled in this book so much, but those are the caveats that I mentioned, that's all. Last but not the least is Young Mungo by Douglas Stewart. This is for a video that I'll be putting up soon for the Clearing My NetGalley Shelf Part 2. I got this book, I think in 2021 as an ARC, and this is when I finally read it. See, that was the whole, impetus behind me making those Clearing My NetGalley Shelf videos, and I finally ended up reading Young Mungo by Douglas Stewart. Okay, so this is set in Glasgow, in a small town or village, I think, and this is about, obviously, Mungo Hamilton, who has an older sister and an older brother, and his mom oscillates between being a mother and being a teenage woman. She had them at a very young age, so she's like, my life, I need to get my life, all that. So basically Douglas Stewart's main characters all have mommy issues. Mungo Hamilton is like I think 15, and the people in that town, in that place, they have this whole notion that you have to be a man. Once you are 16, you'll be like, you go out into the real world, do this is what a man does, this is what he should not do. So basically very heteronormative. But when Mungo becomes close to a boy living nearby, his name is James, he is sent away on a fishing trip with two gentlemen. Men. They are not gentlemen. But what happens after this? What do those two men teach him? Do they teach him what exactly happens? That is what this whole story is about. And I'm like, I hate Moma with a passion. Moma is his mother, and it gutted me to watch her say things like, it's my life as well, I have to do this. She just up and left because she had met a man, and I'm like, woman, what is wrong with you? And I have an equal amount of distaste for James' father, who keeps going out to work, leaving him for weeks at a time. My heart was breaking on every page. I mean, I don't love everything that happens in there, but then I told myself that these kind of things do happen, so I'm like, okay, fiction mirrors reality and all the like. But I do see how Douglas Stewart's writing has become better, or maybe it's just the me in this moment that actually thinks that. Because I didn't like Shuggy Bane, but this was something that I really loved, and it was very evocative, very compelling, and it just, my heart went out to Mungo. I could understand everything, why he was doing what he did, and I was very protective of him. So if you like stories like this, and if you don't mind reading stories like this, then this is one book that you should definitely check out. But keep in mind the trigger warnings for this that include rape, alcoholism, sexual abuse, and violence. Bottom line is that I loved young Mungo. I was not expecting it, but I did love it. So those were the books that I read in November 2023. Which of these have you read? Which ones do you want to read? Which ones are you going to add to your TBR? What did you read in November 2023? Did you find any favorites, any least favorites? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.